Chapter 21, Revolution, from Jesus, a Novel. Hennepin Avenue was blocked, wall-to-wall people. I aimed my bike over to nickel it to get through. It was a log jam. Downtown Minneapolis was at a standstill. There must have been 100,000 demonstrators in the streets, all slaves. What the hell happened while I was sleeping? I found some alleys where I could get through and started weaving my way toward Pete's place. Placards and signs were sprinkled among the crowd. Slaves are people too. Change, not chains. Freedom's a fight, and worse, behead Baal. As I got up toward the river, I saw the riot police staging and organizing, thousands of them with riot gear and weapons. This could get exceedingly ugly in a heartbeat. I jumped off my bike and blew through the door of Screamin' Skin. Peter, Andrew, Judas, and the brothers were there. They were so glued to the TV that they almost ignored my entrance. James tossed a dismissive glance in my direction that seemed to carry a dark undertone. "Sit down, kid. We'll talk in a minute," said Pete. The state media network was coolly dispensing the government line on the downtown chaos, spinning it with their usual bias. "The funny thing is," said one of the anchors, "every one of these demonstrators made a conscious choice. They chose to become slaves. Nobody forced them. Nobody held a gun to their heads. When they failed at supporting themselves, they decided to take advantage of the generosity of people and a government that would do for them what they were unable to do for themselves. Put food on the table, put clothes on their backs, and make sure their families weren't sent out in the cold. They are thumbing their noses at a system that has bailed them out. This is a sad state of affairs." James, in disgust, threw a double bird at the TV screen. Another, with a laugh, said, "These people better realize that skating on thin ice can get you in hot water. When the government hears the ice start cracking, they won't be sending the rescue squad. They'll be sending troops." The rope of benevolence is only so long. My recommendation to all of you protesters: don't play loose with the law of our land and don't test the resolve of our president. He will allow only so much, and then his heel will come crashing down. He finished with, "Go home, people. Go back to your owners and thank them for providing for you. Thank them for giving you work. Thank them for giving you a second chance." Peter stood up so quickly that the chair he was sitting on flipped and crashed against the wall. Ever since we had become number-toting compatriots of the Brotherhood, our identity became almost inextricably aligned with theirs. James walked up to the screen and screamed obscenities at the anchor, as if he could be heard. I had just fumbled my way back from the brink of chaos, only to see another powder keg rumbling down the street toward me with a lit fuse. Where was Maddie, I wondered? In that crowd? If so, the governor will be able to track her location with a chip. He'll know. This isn't good. "So how you doing, kid?" asked Peter, finally looking at me. John turned to hear my answer, but the others were still locked on the TV. "Better, I guess. Thanks for getting me through that." James scowled at me. I broke eye contact with him and started to apologize, but he interrupted, taking 2 large steps toward me, planting his finger squarely in my chest. "You know you could have gotten us all killed back there, you damn rookie. Remind me never to go to war with you." He released his finger and turned away. I sat down. Peter gently slapped me on the shoulder as if to say, "All is forgiven." John gave me the slightest of smiles, making sure James didn't see it. I guess this means that Andrew and Judas knew about that night. I wonder if the others know. I wonder if Jesus knows. I was about to ask when he walked through the door. "Have you guys seen what's going on out there?" "Madness," he said. "I know, don't you just love it?" said Judas. "This is exactly what we need." James raised a fist in agreement. Judas continued, "This can jumpstart our revolution, Jesus, and you are at the center of it. It's perfect." Right then, James hushed us as another scene was playing out on television. A man with Father John's number scrawled across his forehead was standing on top of a bus with a bullhorn. He was leading a chant, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus." The crowd within 2 blocks took up the chant. First it was 1,000, then 10,000, then 50. Judas opened the front door of Pete's shop. We could hear the chant echoing from across the river. It was a sound like I have never heard before, powerful and frightening. A smile grew on Judas' face. This is what he had been hoping for. The stage for he, Jesus, and the rest of the tribe, if they chose, had just grown exponentially. Now all Jesus had to do was take his rightful place as the emperor of the revolution. Judas came back inside and sat down across from Jesus, facing him. He put his hands on Jesus' knees. He spoke slowly, deliberately, as if educating Jesus on the finer points of revolution management. Days like today come along once every generation, maybe less. Opportunity arrived for us today, Jesus. He shifted and gestured with his hand. Revolutions are about seizing the day, grabbing the moment. History is stingy with these moments, and you have to recognize them when they arrive and capitalize on them before they slip through our fingers. Today, we just saw one of those moments arrive, and you, Jesus, are ideally poised, almost by accident, to lead this revolution. They are begging you to lead them. It's falling in your lap in spite of all the things you have done to downplay it. It's all yours for the taking. He paused, then continued with genuine sincerity. This is your chance to change the world, Jesus. Possibly, no, probably your one and only chance. He smiled. This is the day. We are the ones people will be talking about for generations. Judas decided to pause and see if his arguments were getting through. Jesus smiled at him. I couldn't tell if it was a patronizing smile, a smile of pity, or one of compassion. The rest of the crew was uncharacteristically quiet. James had even muted the television. It did seem like a big moment in the scheme of things, not only for Jesus, but for our little tribe. Jesus began. You're right on several counts, Judas. This is an important day, and the revolution is beginning. And people will be talking about this, about us, for generations. Judas let a smile crease his lips. But my time has not yet come. Those 7 words wiped the smile from Judas' lips like a backhanded slap. When the time is right, Right, lashed out Judas with full-on indignation. You'll never see more right than this. He exhaled a gust of frustrated anger. Jesus calmly continued. You, with your narrow vision, your human blinders, only see what your mind can conceive. It's understandable. You assume you are thinking big, but let me tell you, Judas, tribe, my revolution is far bigger than this, far bigger than yours, far bigger than you can even imagine. You dream of a moment in history, Judas. I intend to change the course of history, of humanity, of every person, every generation, every nation, from now until the end of time. Jesus paused. And it will all be accomplished by the power of love. No, 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 no. Judas jumped all over that last line. He had feared that Jesus would pull out the L word. The complete impotence of the concept made the hairs on the back of his neck stand straight up in defiance. Now standing over Jesus, looking down, he said, this isn't about love, Jesus. This is a revolution. Revolutions are fought. Name one revolution that was about love. One. He didn't wait for a response. Governments, evil governments, never roll over at the fear of being hugged. Judas sat in exasperation. God, Jesus, why can't you see this? Jesus now leaned forward. Putting his hands on Judas' shoulders, he spoke. This war won't be fought by governments. It has nothing to do with governments. It is being fought on a higher plane, one you don't recognize, even though it has you on its leash right now. I hear the battle in your every sentence. Now putting one hand behind Judas' head, Jesus compassionately continued. You have many good intentions, Judas. You have painted a good picture, but it's one-dimensional. You need to trust that I see the full, panoramic, wide-angle view, that I know how the story ends, that I will do what is right when the time is right. Judas seemed to calm a bit, but the cauldron was still bubbling on the backside of his eyelids. Jesus went on, you dream of control that is imposed. I dream of community that is chosen. You dream of power that dictates. I dream of power that serves. You dream of wealth and the comfort of affluence. I dream of surrendering those comforts and desires to make sure others enjoy them as well. Let me tell you a story, Jude. The cauldron blew sky high. I don't want to hear another fucking story. Judas sprang to his feet, interrupting Jesus. He had reached his quota of opinions that didn't match his own. I've heard enough of your stories. I've heard enough of your talk. It's time to stop talking and start acting. Now pointing his finger at Jesus. It's time for you to start acting like a leader, not a timid, apprehensive schoolboy from Ely. It's time for you to grow up, Jesus. I couldn't believe how aggressive Judas was toward Jesus. Even the brothers were taken aback by the chutzpah of this bookie. On the other hand, I couldn't believe how patient and tolerant Jesus was with Judas. Now Judas took a softer tone. Listen, Jesus, this is your mission, your destiny, your call. I'm just trying to help you, he continued. There is no reason with your status, charisma, and power that we couldn't turn this into a billion-dollar industry with the whole country eating out of your hand. I can help you leverage your power to make millions. Do you know how much good you could do with that? I can help you secure media platforms on national television. Do you know how much good we could do with that? Then, this is your chance to be somebody, Jesus. Then almost pleading, don't throw that away. With that, Judas walked out the front door of Pete's shop. Nobody said anything, nervously looking around, not sure where to point our eyes. The safest place seemed to be the television, which suddenly uploaded a picture of Jesus. James unmuted the TV mid-sentence. With the crowds begging for their leader, Jesus, to come and address them, the scene changed from the demonstrators on the streets to the inside of the Ineffable Club, which looked like an F4 tornado had blown through. To recap the last couple of days, said the talking head, the Ineffable Club was vandalized 2 nights ago. Several intruders beat up the security guards and destroyed many priceless works of art, including a painting hanging over the mantel, a work by Sebastian Gontrafo, the Lord Most Holy of Ineffable Baal. They cut to Sebastian with a comment. It's the epitome of cowardice to destroy art, great art that can't be replaced. I could tell that this was personal. It was his art. The announcer continued. They also bludgeoned and murdered one of Baal's most esteemed priests, Lawrence Dubois, while he was in a room mentoring a young boy. My eyes twitched and my shoulders stiffened. James shot a look my way from the corner of his eye. These perpetrators will be sought out and executed. I shivered, imperceptibly hoping this latest barrage wouldn't send me back over the edge of sanity. Now the picture changed to that of the young boy who had been molested. Just seeing his face took me back to that room. My breath started getting choppy. The anchor continued. It is believed that this young slave boy, who had the privilege of working at the Ineffable Club, as well as being mentored by Priest Dubois, played a tacit role in his death. So this morning, to honor the legacy of His Holiness and to balance the scales of justice, the slave boy was beheaded. I never heard anything after that. They showed a short clip of the beheading, presumably as a warning to others who might think about taking extreme action against the government or religious orders with power. My eyes began losing focus. Both the priest and the boy were dead, one by my hand and one indirectly because of my actions, also by my hand. A choking sob slipped out. The brothers looked at me, and I could tell that the look said, "Get it together. Jesus doesn't know." But I couldn't stop what had started. Now I knew why there were 100,000 demonstrators in the streets of downtown. They were protesting the death of this innocent boy. They were out there because I killed a priest. They were out there because I forced Baal's hand to kill this innocent boy. I doubled over, and try as I could, the sobs slipped out. Through bleary eyes, I saw Jesus enter the room. He looked around, catching each of our eyes one by one, man by man. He knew. I could tell. He knew. The others saw the same thing I saw. Jesus never said anything. What he did was come over to me and wrap his arms around me. No words, just tenderness.